Good evening, and welcome to episode number 2 of All or None According to Jack. So, for tonight's episode, we're not going to talk about rock and roll. We're going to talk about, wait for it, where is it? We're going to do some background changes. Hello, we're going to talk about Seinfeld. So, as I stated, so some of the episodes we're going to have are simply going to be about the terms and catchphrases that made the show famous. But for tonight, I'm going to give you a sample of one of those catchphrases. And then we are going to do a special first edition of the Seinfeld show. We're going to talk about the top 10 episodes of George Costanza. That'll be a fun topic. So to start off with, and I'm just referring to my notes. So as an example of the terms and catchphrases we're going to talk about. So for tonight, we're going to talk about from season 2, episode 5, the term Lord of the Idiots. And what is a Lord of the Idiot? One who uses a wedding band to try to pick up women. That's definition number 1. Definition number 2, one who can't figure out a way to renege when asking a former girlfriend for moving into his building. So hopefully they will get better. So on to the top 10 episodes of George. We know George Costanza is the lovable character. The show wouldn't be what it is without a George Costanza, that scheming little, quirky little man. So my top 10 episodes of George. So number 10, season 5, episode 11, The Conversion. The episode where George decides to convert to Latvian Orthodox just for a woman and wear those trapezoidal hats. Some funny quotes in that episode. "Oh, I'm gonna think about this." And Frank Costanza, is that the group that mutilates squirrels? "Ooh, succulent. I'm really going to think about this." Too funny. And then, of course, Kramer, "I've got the Kavorka." Episode 9, season 7, episode 20, The Calzone. "George, boy, that's a heck of a sandwich." So George, schemer that he is, needs somebody to go to the pizza place for him and get those calzones. So who does he enlist? Newman. "Once a week, I shall require..." What does he require? "Once a week, I shall require a cannoli." Funny episode. Episode number 8, season 8, number 13, episode 13, The Comeback. What does Georgie do? He gets insulted in the beginning of the episode by a guy who then moves out of New York, moves to Akron, Ohio. And George, he makes it an obsession of his to have to go through the episode and try and get back at this guy. So being an influential member of the Yankee front office, he manages to partner with this tire company in Akron flies all the way to Akron to be insulted to try and insult this guy, only to be insulted again. And how does he come back? "I slept with your wife." Okay. Episode number 7, season 2, episode 7, The Revenge. So George's boss won't let him use his bathroom. So what does he do? He quits on the guy. Then he doesn't. He decides, "Oh, I didn't really want to quit." So he sneaks back into the office and pretends it never happens. Boss throws him out. So he concocts a plan with Elaine where he's going to slip him a Mickey. So guy brings him back, calls him his little shrimpy friend. So what does George say? Drink up. Episode number 6, season 7, episode 7, The Bubble Boy. Great episode. Too funny. So, of course, the Bubble Boy isn't a nice guy. He's this smart alecky, cantankerous guy who tells George's girlfriend, "Oh, why don't you take your top off?" So then they're playing, oh, what the heck is that game? Trivial Pursuit. And the question isn't Moors, it's Moops. Who knew? The correct answer is Moops. It's not Moops, you jerk, it's Moors. So Susan, his girlfriend, breaks the bubble. He loses air. And of course, like a typical scene at the end of the Three Stooges, Jerry and George get chased by the townsfolk. Too funny. So episode number 5, season 2, episode 8, The Heart Attack. Great early episode. Famous George line. Is it lupus? Is it lupus? Of course, George ends up with the holistic healer, Torak Ackman. You shouldn't have been born in July. Your parents would have been well advised to wait. You're eating too much dairy. Too funny. So, of course, he gives him the tea with the cramp bar. And George ends up as a purple eggplant. I'm an eggplant. Great episode. So, episode 4, the top, we're getting to the top 4 now. Episode 4, season 3, episode 14, The Pez Dispenser. What does Jerry do? Of course, he has to wreck George's plans with his pianist girlfriend by putting a Pez dispenser on Elaine's leg. So Elaine commits a faux pas in the land of pianist recitals by bursting out laughing. And poor George gets all upset. And the episode, so many things happen. Kramer concocts this, he concocts this man's perfume called The Beach, which makes somebody smell like the beach, gets rejected. Of course, Jerry, in the meantime, is having an intervention at his apartment. So Kramer's arguing with the guy about the beach. Jerry's trying to keep it all in order. All of a sudden, Kramer's polar bear buddies from Brighton Beach, Coney Island area come in, and they're joking around with Elaine, and Elaine bursts out laughing, and the pianist girlfriend recognizes the laugh, and she says to George, "I am breaking up with you." George says, "But you can't, I have hand." Best line of the night, and you're gonna need it. Too funny. I won't go any further than that. Now for the top 3 episodes. Episode number 3 from season 5, episode 14, The Marine Biologist. Jerry, I've always wanted to pretend that I was an architect. You got me in the Galapagos Islands, and I don't know where the hell I am. Meanwhile, he's dating somebody named Diane DeCon. She was the It Girl. Of course, it culminates with Kramer trying to hit golf balls into the ocean. That would be me missing every freaking ball. Of course, the one ball he hits lands into the blowhole of a whale. So George, pretending that he's a marine biologist, goes out, lands on the big fish, Mammal. Lands on the mammal, pulls out the obstruction, the golf ball. Oh, it's a Ferrero Rocher, not really a golf ball. I digress. That was that. And pretty much like every episode, she breaks up with George. It is not his lot in life to end up happily ever after. Okay, number 2, season 3, episode 22, one of my favorite all-time episodes, the parking space. Only George would get into an argument with a friend of Jerry's named Mike Moffat, where they're catty-cornered trying to get into a parking space. And of course, in live action for the whole half-hour episode, they're arguing over a parking space. You got guys driving ice cream trucks arguing. You got Newman arguing on George's behalf. You got other people arguing on Mike Moffat's behalf, namely Kramer. And this is the same guy who calls Jerry, "You called me a phony." But the best part of that episode is the very end, where Larry David voices the referee, 7, 8, 9, 10, ding, ding. Of course, they all missed the fight. Too funny. Okay. Episode number 1 for George. Season 5, episode 21, The Hamptons. What else can I say? Who else but George would talk about shrinkage? Elaine, did you ever notice that it shrinks? Well, like laundry? Of course, and this very astute George points out that the Hampton tomato never took off as a hand fruit. Argues with Jerry's girlfriend, who hates his guts, just like every other woman. And of course, Kramer steals lobsters from a lobster trap and ends up at the very end in an orange Suffolk County jail jumpsuit picking up garbage on the side of the road. Too funny. Okay, so let's review the top episodes of George. Number 10, The Conversion, where George converts to Latvian Orthodox to please a woman. Episode number 9, The Calzone, where George gets a calzone, and the boss, George Steinbrenner, gets very jealous and wants said calzone. So George has to scheme to get him for him because he was thrown out of the pizzeria for stealing his tip money. Episode number 8, The Comeback. George flies all the way to Akron, Ohio, just to try and get back with a guy who insulted him. Number 7, The Revenge. Who else but George would try to slip a Mickey in his boss's drink to get revenge? No Mickey. I didn't have a Mickey sauce. Episode number 6, The Bubble Boy. Need I say more? Very funny episode. Number 5, a very early classic of Seinfeld, The Heart Attack in season 2. Is it lupus? Is it lupus? George thinks he's having a heart attack. Kramer insists that he goes to a holistic healer, Tor Ackman. Episode 4, The Pez Dispenser, where Jerry puts a little Tweety Bird Pez dispenser on Elaine's leg, and all hell breaks loose, culminating in the breakup of George's latest relationship. Episode number 3, The Marine Biologist. I always told you I wanted to be an architect. Episode 2, The Parking Space. Only George would argue with somebody for an entire half an hour episode over a parking space in Manhattan. First of all, you can't even find a parking space in Manhattan, let alone argue over one. And of course, episode 1, the all-time classic, The Hamptons. Come on, it's shrinkage. It's not the real me. So that concludes the top 10 of George. On a side note, I would just like to say a very happy birthday to my mother, Elena Toledano. I love you. Hope you and Dad are having a great cruise. And we'll talk to you when you get back. Be safe and enjoy. And to everybody else, we'll see you next week. We plan on doing these episodes pretty much once a week. There will be some surprises from time to time. And that's that. You know, surprises where we will have multiple episodes per week, but we'll try to stick to the once per week. And enjoy. And we'll see you next time. Bye now.